There are some things that I may not know. There are some places that I can't go. But I'm sure of this one thing, that my God is really real, 'cause I can feel Him in my soul. Yes, God is real. He's real in my soul. Yes, God is real. He's real in my soul. My God is real in my soul. Real in my soul. He's real in my soul.
Holy night, the stars are shine up high, and on this night, Jesus born in Bethlehem. All the world await in sin for Jesus coming, and when He come, all we gonna be safe. We Savior done come, He born to set we free. All He glory we lifted unto Him. Christ is we Lord. The earth can be Down there in the manger, the baby asleep. The baby dodo upon the straw with he head. The angel them dancing 'cause Jesus he born. The baby dodo upon the straw with he head. The cow and the sheep them a watch the baby dodo upon the straw with he head. Bear praise to you, Jesus, you come from up there. For save we are people from sin and from death. Is right by the grave we are gathered tonight. For see the youth dodo on straw and the crib. God bless the whole world and God bless Guyana, and send we to heaven for live with you there, and send me to heaven to live with you there.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Georgetown Tea House. Of course, this is Christmas time, and so, we opted to kick it off with some gospel music and Guyanese Creole, a Guyanese Creole interpretation of Christmas songs by Nicholas Roberts. This evening, it's time again for the Morty Lindie Guyana story. Where we exploring Morty's family. We're talking about ancestry. This evening, specifically, we'll be looking at DNA. Essentially taking an introductory look at the subject of DNA. All right. So welcome to the Georgetown Tea House. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. We'll be hearing from Morty, along with a cousin of his and a niece. All right. So Morty, one of his cousins, and a niece will be having a conversation on DNA. So please like, subscribe, and share the broadcast, and please do feel free to comment. All right. This is the Georgetown Tea House, and we welcome you.
On my father's side, my grandparents were Travis G. Lindie III, 1907 to 1975, and Ruth Patoir, 1909 to 1990, while my mother's parents and my maternal grandparents were James Grimond, 1912 to 1966, and Joyce Bender, 1912 to 1976, going back another generation to my great-grandparents. On my paternal grandfather's side, my great-grandparents were Travis Lindie Jr. and Elfrida Leps. On my paternal grandmother's side, they were William H.J. Patois, born 1862, and Rebecca Lessner, 1872 to 1946. On my maternal grandfather's side, my great-grandparents were James Grimman Sr. and Celia H. Curtius. And on my maternal grandmother's side, my great-grands were Henry P. Bender, 1882-1965, and Teresa A. Swarven, died 1963. Our DNA is more than just a biological code. It's a time capsule carrying secrets of the people and places that came before us. In this episode, we'll take an introductory look at the fascinating science of DNA and its ability to bridge the past and present. DNA offers us a chance to uncover the hidden chapters of our own stories. Join us as we explore how this powerful molecule connects us to our roots.
Who were the Lindies, Grimmans, Benders, Patois, and Leps? And how do they connect us to Guyana's legacy and to that of other Guyanese families?
Okay, the first question we want to address is, what is DNA? All right, and we're gonna serve it to you in a way that is simple. All right, give you a basic background, and then we're gonna get the conversation started. All right, so what is DNA?
I like our young biologist to tell us what DNA stands for.
You're being put on the spot, Ty.
No, she's smart.
I think it's deoxyribonucleic acid, something like that.
Yeah.
Close to that.
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's like a recipe book that tells your body how to grow, work, and stay healthy. 2. Where is DNA found? DNA is found in the nucleus, control center, of most cells in your body. Imagine your cells are little houses, and the nucleus is the epicenter of the house. 3. What does DNA look like? DNA looks like a twisted ladder called a double helix. The steps of the ladder are made of 4 special chemicals, A, T, C, and G. 4. What does DNA do? DNA contains genes, which are instructions for making proteins. Proteins are like tiny machines that build and fix parts of your body. 5. Why is DNA important? DNA makes you unique. It decides things like your eye color, hair type, and even if you can roll your tongue. Scientists use DNA to study health, cure diseases, and learn about life on Earth. 6. How do scientists study DNA? Scientists use special tools to read DNA like a code. They can find out amazing things, like which dinosaur DNA is still around. 7. Wrapping up, DNA is the recipe for life. It's in every living thing. DNA makes you special and helps scientists understand life better.
All right, so that's a little basic breakdown as to the a direct response to the question, what is DNA? Now today we this is going to be part 1 of a conversation on DNA, and then we're going to link it back to Morty Lindie and his own DNA makeup itself, but we'll be dealing with Morty's own DNA breakdown at another episode, at another time. But today, for those of us who would have been in Guyana, say, over the past 3 decades or so, 3 to 4 decades, you must be familiar with Eureka Labs. All right, Eureka Labs in Georgetown. Now, Dr. Andrew Boyle, who's associated with Eureka Labs, he's here with us, and he happens to be a cousin of Morty Lindie. Also with us will be Ty, Morty's niece. All right, so let's get straight into the conversation. Dr. Boyle, I just want you to introduce yourself. Talk a little bit of your business, what you do, right? And Ty, you will do the same. Talk about yourself, what you were studying, and then we'll take the conversation from there.
All right.
Go ahead,
My
Andrew.
name is Andrew Boyle. William Andrew Boyle. Everybody calls me Andy. I happen to be Morty's cousin, Morty's elder cousin. So you have to put a handle on that there. So yes, and I'm a microbiologist by profession, and I owned Eureka Medical Laboratories amongst other companies. But Eureka Medical Laboratory does a lot of DNA testing. Well, we facilitate DNA testing because we partner with the DDC of Ohio. So we partner with them and we do the DNA testing, and then we also offer the ancestry DNA testing. So they're a bit different, but DNA with the Ohio group that deals with mainly paternity testing. We do paternity, siblingship, avuncular testing. That is, if you're
Aunt and uncle and that kind of thing.
aunt and uncle, where it doesn't have to be uncle, could be an aunt as well, grandparentage and those kind of things. And whereas the other form of DNA would be ancestry testing. That would tell you, as Morty did, tell you about your ancestry, where you came from, and that's basically what it is. And of course, if we related to each other, it shows that if we can't claim that Morty is my family without checking the DNA. Yes, we are related by ancestry as well. So there's no, we can't lie about that. Yeah. Even though he doesn't want me as his family, but it's all right.
Okay, Ty, quick introduction.
Hello. I'm a senior currently at Emory University. So I study biology, as I said previously, but I also do research in molecular biology and genetics. So I study like epigenetics mostly. So like chromosome structure, specifically centromeres. So yeah, that's kind of my focus.
And your connection to Morty?
Uncle Marty, he's my uncle.
Are you sure about that? Yeah. Of course. Just kidding.
We said, Andrew, we need to go down to Eureka to do a test.
Yeah. And Mort is a good guy, and I'm happy to have him as my cousin. I'm not sure he is, but I'm happy to have him as my cousin. Yeah.
Yes, you tuned into the Georgetown Tea House. Please continue to like, share, and feel free to comment. This is a DNA discussion with Morty Lindie, his cousin Dr. Andrew Boyle of Eureka Labs, and his niece Ty.
Yes.
So before you go on, Nancy, just to tie it in from the family structure, right? So Andy, my cousin, Ty, and my niece. So Andy or Andrew here would be be considered my second cousin, right? Okay. So Andrew and myself, our grandparents on both of our maternal sides. So my grandmother and Andrew's grandfather are siblings.
Correct.
Right. So and their parents. So that's one grandparent, and then the second grandparent, right? That's where we're common.
Right.
And that's why we are considered second cousin. Tyann is my sister's my sister's daughter. So my niece.
Right.
That's
I,
straightforward.
yeah,
Yes.
and see another thing is that we originate from the Berbice River, and
Yes.
I find that the folks from the Berbice River are practically all related somehow. If you
Yes.
go through the lineage, you may find that Morty's dad and I are probably related to somewhere around the place. So
Yeah.
Right.
yes,
One
yes.
of those things.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. So we have to be careful that a person from up there you don't marry your family.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Um. All right. I'm going to get to Andrew, you and Marty shortly. I want to start off with Kai. Kai, tell us, as somebody, a young person involved in the field currently, um, is there anything new and exciting happening within biology and the DNA field currently?
I think so. I think there's a lot of new, cool, and interesting things that are being discovered because we don't actually know a lot about like molecular biology and how DNA works, chromosome division, especially because our body is so complex and there's so many things that have to align perfectly in order to make a perfect person or like have or make a human being. So there's always something new. There's always like something that could be further researched. And honestly, the field of like genetics and DNA is very new relative to the field of science as a whole. So I think it's I think it's a more of an up and coming field, and I think there's a lot of cool discoveries that are like always happening. So
All right. We'll continue. You're at the Georgetown Tea House. Now let's go straight into a DNA kind of situation. So Andrew, Morty has been doing his family tree, and this guy named Morty Lindie has been doing his family tree, and somewhere
Oh
along the
yes.
line, he sees that there's a possibility that you and him are brothers.
Correct.
So he wants to do a DNA test to prove that. Tell us what happens in the lab and how do you guys in the lab approach that?
All right. We have two options. Well, several options. If we want to prove that we are brothers,
Mhm.
then we do a siblingship test, and that would be a half siblingship test. That would be because we have the probably same father but different mothers, so that's half siblingship. If we were to have both similar fathers, same mother, same father, then it would be a full siblingship. So then we can do a half siblingship test, and that would tell us if we are brothers or we have a common parent. That's one. Then we can also do if I'm his uncle, because I'm old enough to be his uncle, so we can do an avuncular test where we
Mhm.
take a sample and that shows if I'm related to him as his uncle. Similarly, I can do as his father. Same thing, Again, I'm old enough to be his father, so same thing. The other thing we want.
Marty, why is he stressing this?
No, no. Oh man, it's like listen, Morty is my
He's
brother.
he, he
Morty is
is
my brother,
he is
and
try he's trying to make
I gotta.
sure I respect him as an elder. That's
Oh
all it
yes,
is.
oh yes.
It
He
doesn't
calls me
matter the
uncle.
layer. He just wants to make
Yeah,
sure
he
that I
calls me
keep
uncle
respecting
all
him
the
as an
time.
elder.
He calls me uncle all the time when we're alone. So, uh, right. So the other option would be to see if when we do the ancestry test, and that would show if we're not as close as siblings. Let's say as we are cousins, we would do the ancestry test, and it will show that we have um, some bit of correlation there. And it depends on how close you are. Those, you have some figures that are much big higher than normal. You know, so those are the three options. And to do the regular DNA's paternity, avuncular siblingship, we take swabs of the mouth, and we take care of the swabs from each other's mouths. And then in the other case where the ancestry, we take sputum into a little container. We put the sputum in there and take it from. So it only
All right.
takes
Now,
about
for
roughly
the
about a
average
couple of minutes.
everyday person, why the mouth?
Good. Okay. As my little cousin will tell you, we are made up of DNA or building or like building blocks. You know, the DNA. We have DNA in our hair. We have DNA in our skin. We have DNA in our mouth, and that's the easiest way to take DNA. Of course, it's also in our blood. Some people insist on taking blood. They think that is more authentic. That's not so. A swab of the mouth is quite simple, and it's the way to go. So we take the swabs of the mouth. But so the ancestry, sometimes there's a delay. So they think that when you put the saliva there, and it's there's a preservative that keeps it for a long time as well. So either way can work.
Okay. Now, I've encountered the term decoding your DNA. What does that mean, practically speaking, when they say to decode your DNA?
It's simply it's like a puzzle. Just reading simply just decoding. It's reading a puzzle. The DNA, as my little cousin will tell you, there's strands of all kinds of names. I don't recall them. I'm sure she would recall them because I studied those things years ago.
Right.
Those are intertwined, and so it needs to be decoded. And now, to add a sort of something you asked my little cousin earlier, what are I'm not sidestepping, but I just remembered
No,
something
that's all
here.
right.
Yeah, in the very exciting developments that we use DNA for. In fact, all the COVID testing, we recently we're still doing COVID testing, but COVID testing is by the use of DNA. PCR is polymorph chain reaction. This is practically the DNA, and
Okay.
and only today we are talking. I was talking to some visitors about looking at monkeypox and those and dengue and so on. So those are exciting developments that can be used by DNA. So I'm sorry to sidetrack you, but
No,
yes.
that's perfectly all right. And now, either of you, Ty or Andrew, you can take this one. In terms of that ladder kind pattern that you generally see being depicted, is that the way how the DNA actually looks with that ladder kind of pattern?
Ty?
I'd say that's kind of a hard question to answer. I would say yes, but also it's not exactly as like clean cut as it looks in diagrams. I think that's just for like conceptual understanding. I think DNA can come in many different types of shapes, which is actually what I study specifically. I study how like the normal spiral that you see is how DNA is normally when it's condensed and wrapped in within like a chromosome, but DNA can take other shapes, other forms, but it's just not as generally known if you're not really in the field.
That is quite right. You know, it's like when you're building a house. That's how the house is. The blocks are intertwined, but you have to on a sheet of paper really. That's how you have and it's measured. This you have to measure measurements, and we don't actually do the measurement. Machines do all the measurements, and in our molecular studies, they come out in graphs. So you have a graph and so on, several graphs with the controls and so on. And of course, the numbers. That's the important thing as well. Huh?
Right. Ty, is there amongst your peers a particular fascination with ancestry, exploring connections to family members? Have you found that in your amongst your peers?
I would say yes, because I feel like especially during COVID, there was like a lot of time to like ponder. So I think especially among those who have like immigrated here to America and don't really know like where, like over time they don't really know where they are originally from. I think it's become bigger amongst my generation over the last couple of years. So I would say that there has been some.
How curious would you say you are? Are you as curious as your uncle about your family, finding out, and how do you respond when somebody, your mom or somebody comes up and say, oh no, so this is your cousin, or that person is your cousin? Are you interested enough to see how the connection is made, or you just like most of us would have done? So okay, nice to meet you.
I mean, I actually haven't done like an ancestry. I am interested in it, but also I'm not sure. Maybe it might happen in the near future. But I think honestly, in our family, I think I kind of just take what my mom says at face value, like, oh, this is your cousin, and I'm like, okay, like, sure, yeah. Because I mean, I feel like especially amongst our family, we have a lot of cousins that may not actually be related to us. So I just kind of, I'm just like, okay, yeah, and I'll just take it as, yeah, they're my cousin, but I won't actually know for sure.
And Nancy, if I may add, I think we need to give my young cousin kudos. He has been, and I would say, there is a tower of strength in our family. He can pull up and say, oh, no, that person not related to you, this person related to you, and he has everything. Not only has them on paper, of course, but he also have them in his head. So kudos to you, my young cousin. Really, really nice stuff. Really appreciate.
No, that's one of the reasons. I've kind of been linked with him. I think there's a highly commendable,
highly commendable.
Yeah.
So Andy, before you go on, not that I'm competing here, right? But as you can see, I have a very smart family, so I have to find some way to kind of fit in, right? So I think this is probably, the one way
there was your
no. Just accept the praises and look what's behind him. Look at his screensaver.
But I do want to say, Andy and Nancy, you wouldn't know this, and so Maggie, who connected us, right? Maggie Harris and Andrew, they're actually related on the Boyle side. Up to like maybe third cousin or so, but there is actually a connection there between Maggie Harris.
Between Maggie and Andrew.
Yes.
There we go. And I only heard about Maggie through Morty. And not so long ago, I heard about the book she wrote, and it was very interesting.
Right, and just to plug her, right, the Kiss Kitty Girl, right, and actually it was through that book and that I started to look into things a little bit more and was able to determine that through some
excellent.
So
excellent
through some conversation. But yep, just to tie it all in, right? How small we are, but yet so large.
All right, so I do have to add something to the Maggie Harris part of the conversation. It was Maggie who put me on to Morty. I reached out to Maggie saying I want to do something on ancestry, and she knows this guy who's been putting together his family tree, and so Maggie Harris, she's been the winner of the Guyana Prize. There's a book out that I would recommend that you search the web and seek it out. The Kiss Kitty Girl, all right? The Kiss Kitty Girl by Maggie Harris. I'm gonna play something here from Maggie. This is one of her poems, and this is titled "Not a Gospel Song."
not a gospel song, but it could be. Where there is a sunbeam, let me pause. Let me stand in it, lured by the soles of my naked feet. For there was a sunbeam once that poured through an upstairs window of a wooden house of prayers, vibrating in the frequency of bats and calypsos. This is not a travelogue, but it could be. Where there is an airwave, let me glide, let me ride on it, become a swift over ocean floors. For there was an airwave once that dropped me like a consonant in a house by the sea, where the bricks expanded with the growing bones of children. This is not a ululation, but it could be. Where there is a hallelujah, let me pour a libation to the passages of migrants. For there is a praise song now going on behind this door, where the palms and I are dancing in the memory of sunbeams. This is not a gospel song, but it could be.
Okay, cool. Now, Andrew, in performing, we're going back to the testing between, say, you and Morty to see whether you guys are brothers. Are there any genetic factors and any genetic maybe abnormalities or whatever that could offer some difficulties in terms of you making a determination?
All right, let me see if I could make this easier. If you have, there are genetic abnormalities, yes, but just a very experienced tester would pick up those abnormalities. Those are genetic mutations that can occur, but that not necessarily to change up the whole story. Okay, but it may give some difficulties in diagnosing.
Okay.
So they call it mutation.
Okay. Now, in terms of the ancestral breakdown, all right, as in Morty's case, how much percent African, indigenous, etc. As a biologist and speaking from the perspective of a Guyanese, would you suggest that most of us, do you think it would be helpful for most of us if we did that ancestral breakdown?
Oh, I think so. And I think so, I'm sure. That is so important. Especially if we have lots of similarities sometimes. You see some people who look very similar to you, and you find out that your cousins are far off, maybe brothers or sisters. So it's important to do those things, and to find not only that, but also there are certain genetic diseases that are spread. That is good to make sure that you know what's happening.
Right. Now, Ty, in terms of you've lived most of your life in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. And if you were to
in the US.
Yeah, all of it.
all of it, okay. if you were to go someday in the next 10 years or so on, and you were to go down to the Borbis River and to do a study on your own ancestry, how would you approach that, and what would you look for?
How would I approach that? I'd probably take advice from Uncle Morty, honestly. I feel like I probably wouldn't really know where to start.
That's smart. That's very smart, Tai. I think Morty would be the best person to tell you exactly where, because you have certain villages. Some villages are common where you have the Benders, the Boyles, the Lindies. For example, Develt, Morganton, Kimbia, Kokwani. Of course, Morty, you know that. In fact, you've left those places so long. I'm not sure you remember, but you know what I'm talking about. Certain areas are known for those names. In fact, probably the whole of Barbish River.
Yeah, a matter of fact, we recently there's been there's a community on Facebook where people exchange ideas and thoughts and things like that. And one of the things was trying to reference names or mention names reference to a particular area in the Barbies River. Right. You can go, for instance, like Andrew was saying, you can actually associate, places like the Develt area, like to the Leps family that we were talking about, right? And some of the Lindie family. And you come up to like Morganton area, you can reference the Grimman, right, and the Boyle as you go into Morganton or Harracooley and places like that, right? So and Kimbia, right? So there are names that you can associate to a location as you hear them.
Oh, yes. And we don't expect Ty to know those names as yet. Have you been to Guyana yet, Ty?
No.
Oh, Mom gotta encourage you to come to Guyana.
On my list to bring them all, bring all the youngins.
Bring all of them, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they'll enjoy every minute. Trust me.
So, Morty, the Boyles, what are they connected to your maternal or your paternal side?
Actually, no. The Boyles, I am connected to Andy. Andy is a Bender, so his mom. His mom is a Bender. Right, his grandfather's a Bender, and that's our connection.
That's
through
it.
The Bender
To the
side.
Benders. Okay, on your mom's side. Okay, okay, interesting. For now, I think I've gotten most of what I want. I hope as we continue on the journey that I can reach out to you, Dr. Boyle, from time to time.
Oh yes.
Right?
Andy, call me Andy. Andy's fine.
All right, Andy.
Yeah. You reach out to me at any time or through my little cousin.
Your little.
Margie don't take it. It's all right.
Marty, if you grow up in here, you couldn't talk when big people talking and them kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
I would have been at the kids' table all the time.
All right, that was it. With the first part of our conversation on DNA. Thanks a lot to Dr. Andrew Boyle of Eureka Labs. Thanks to Morty's niece, Ty, and to Morty himself. Thank you all for checking in, listening. Please, this is the kind of information, we can talk about for, hours. Please share with others. Please make a comment. If you have an interesting family story, feel free to share it with us. All right. This has been an episode 4 of the Morty Lindie Guyana story. And my name is Anansi, and I'm saying bye for now from the Georgetown Tea House.
Down there in the manger, the baby asleep, the baby dodo upon the straw with he head, the angel them dancing 'cause Jesus to save we are people from sin and from death. Is right by the grave we are gathered tonight, for see the youth dodo on straw and the crib. God bless the whole world and God bless Guyana, and send we to heaven for live with you there, and send me to heaven to live with you there.
Our DNA is more than just a biological code. It's a time capsule carrying secrets of the people and places that came before us. In this episode, we'll take an introductory look at the fascinating science of DNA and its ability to bridge the past and present. DNA offers